Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Oh, what a pass. Farabello leaking out for the three. What a find from Shire. You said it. Just always on the run. So tough to defend. Nemhardt's little floater, though, won't go. Ooh, good box out and finish by Frederick King. For the Kaluma. Oh, he wanted to pull the trigger on that three. A little bit too strong, and the rebound swatted out. Nemhardt will launch from deep, and the second chance opportunity gives the Jays three. Here's Shireman leaving it. The three up and banked home for Trey Alexander. Deep three for Nemhardt, and with 2 to shoot, it drops.
Yeah, he has been really cold from three.
Now they'll dribble this one out. And Creighton is starting to get things figured out, it would appear. Their first Big East Road win. 11-8 now on the season.
Hey, it's Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency, alongside Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Lots to cover, lots to get to. Let's tell you exactly what you're about to hear. Creighton Butler, we'll get to that here in a moment, but we'll talk to Dominic Casciato at 7:30, the new Union Omaha head coach. We'll then talk to Brian Christopherson at the top of the hour. That is 8 o'clock. We'll talk to Andy Kendeigh as well, which we haven't spoken to Andy in a little while.
Well, we had to swap him out, and Shane got busy. Then AK actually has a life, so
AK had he had a procedure.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'll leave it. I'll leave it at that.
AK's doing life, kind of, and so he was on a little hiatus,
and I don't blame him for having to go on that hiatus.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the transfer portal and the 45-day window closing and what the need still is for this Husker group. We'll also talk about where a lot of those Husker coaches ended up yesterday, and DB interacted with them.
Closing time.
Is that every school in the area right
now?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, be careful out there today.
Right. And no, for real.
Are you a weather weenie?
I am. I wouldn't say I wake up in the morning on a day like today and think I have to check the weather because
at 8 o'clock you want me to open those blinds and we're just going to see if that's when it starts snowing, right? Because that's what people like to do. But I mean, listen, let's be honest. School districts have some snow days built in. They're going to err on the side of caution. If they're a lot like Shane, they are scared to death.
Do they have snow days or are they remote learning days?
They're built in and they will do no school.
That's so nice.
Yeah, unless you're in administration. And then you're kind of still
I'd rather be at my desk.
It's a little touch and go. So all school districts will be spectators today, I believe. Yeah, I think so. And will it hit?
So at 10 o'clock, it says wintry mix. And the 53
so not 8 o'clock now?
Chance. No, now it's 10 a.m. And then it just keeps picking up, man. 11 and 12, freezing rain, 85% to 100%. So by noon, there's going to be freezing rain, according to weather.com.
That's the stuff that'll keep your guy at the house.
Right.
I mean, if you don't want to go see Dingman's, I'll stay my little behind at home.
And we will play 2 for you at 8:40. So if you'd like to get involved in that game, also presented by Dingman's.
And please pick Shane.
Please pick Shane. Honestly, please pick Shane.
Come on,
it gives us
Shane.
entertainment.
No, although,
Come on, Shane.
let's be honest. I've laid a couple eggs the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, you and Shane should go head to head.
No, see, here's the deal, though. Shane's line of thinking is different. I just can't listen.
Why the f is Shane walking in there?
It's kind of Shane, too.
It's like the College World Series thing threw me for a loop, and NHL teams of all time was different appearances currently, or all-star appearances
Oh, so
currently.
you're talking about trivia
Yeah.
when you said that.
Now,
There was another one you missed, though, too.
yeah, I know it because it sticks in my craw. Phone service providers.
Oh, yeah.
And I said Apple.
Apple, which they could be. Who knows?
Yeah. You know who let me know about that, right? The amazing Dan.
Oh. And he's probably listening right now, so shout out to Dan.
It's like having my dad back with a less of a stern voice.
He is a very down to earth talker.
Yeah.
But when you're on Twitter, he's like that goes
Dude,
out the window.
The snark reigns supreme.
See,
But he's a Steelers fan. So
now,
we give
when the
him a little
question was asked about the CWS team, I would have said Texas. That's the first thing that pops in.
Well, they were there.
Because
I would have said Texas.
that's the last game that I saw live. It was like 2000. It was a while ago. It was like 2003 when they won the championship that year or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Shane, you're knee deep into sports or head deep or whatever.
Well,
4
they
foot
may be
dudes
over
are.
his head.
Oh, come on, Shane.
Is Big 12 basketball that good,
This year,
bro?
mm-hmm. They're the real deal.
I'm kind of like.
How about that K-State KU game?
How about K-State being favored?
Yeah, that did surprise me.
I mean, it was
It was only like a point and a half.
it was slight,
still,
but I mean, that didn't shock Vegas.
they chose home venue at the end of the day. They said home team gets the extra beef.
I mean, Iowa State is legit.
Yeah, they played well. Otzelberger's awesome.
No, they're good.
Mhm.
And I know
And
fans-
Texas is
fans here
on a roller
locally are
coaster
very
right now.
familiar with TJ because he used to, spend quite a bit of time in the Summit.
South Dakota State.
And man, I still don't know. And I told you this the other day, last week. I still don't know what to make of Baylor. But they got a nice road win against the Red Raiders last night, who had every opportunity. Baylor just kept.
Great first half by the Bears.
Georgia's gonna be pretty okay, I think, for Baylor. So apparently the Big 12 is legit. I think.
So I got caught up moving a lot yesterday.
I got caught up.
Made a huge move into a house, and
Congratulations, grown up.
oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a tough sight for me to see when I went into my bank account and just saw the big chunk of money that I laid down on the house just pulled right out.
Yeah.
And
you get the shakes when you're signing all
and
the documents.
it's not really, but I was like, tell me this, riddle me this. How many people read the documents that they put in front of you?
So I dabbled for like 3 years in that business. Almost 4. I recommend to people reading all but the one page where it's with the compound interest and what you would be paying in its totality, because that's a big number with the interest when you add it up. So skip that page, but for the most part, that and
I'm a skimmer.
Yeah.
I'm not a reader.
Yeah, and
because I want to get in and get out, and that's probably a poor mentality.
Sometimes that'll cost you, but you're dealing with good folks, so it helps when you're buying from an owner that you know really well. So that, I mean, now the financing, that's on you guys, but that, and the only time I'd tell you to make sure you read is now when you do your homeowner's insurance. Make sure you read.
Oh, I did that already.
Because the fine lines with pipes bursting and inside and outside and where the water comes from and like that stuff, you probably want to know.
There's some twists and turns.
Yeah. You're going to be like,
where you think you're covered?
Yeah. I thought, I
thought you covered hail damage.
No, so you know where I got one thing that really got me that I should have read better and I didn't is, you have family insurance and deductibles per head in the household versus family deductible. So it's like,
right. Yep.
yeah. So if it's like 1,500 or 3,000 per, is it 8,000 for the family? Like that, you probably want to know too. I'm not the great life lesson guy, but that's about all I got.
I'm very good at asking questions.
Yeah, I noticed.
Very good.
Yeah. Hey, so DB,
what do you think about this?
What kind of questions that?
You know what it used to always be about my shoes, which I thought was kind of weird. You'd ask me a lot of questions about my shoes.
You always had a different pair. Because I wear the same 3 pairs of shoes until they need to be thrown away.
Something
like
happens.
they're just ripping. I'll still wear them. Yeah. But you have like 12 different pairs that you cycle through.
I got it from my kids.
Isn't
Not
that
the
funny?
shoes.
I was going to say, well, yeah, obviously.
So there's
you
there's two things that
I feel like that should be in reverse order, though.
Mine just got some new shoes last night. We walked out after the Miller North girls beat Marion last night, which was a good win. Miller North girls basketball is legit. I mean, this just in, right? They've been in the top 5. They've been number 1, and it's highly competitive. That's a good basketball team. And watched a little bit of Prep Miller North last night. Actually watched a lot of it. So good night there. But yeah, she just got more shoes. Even she's a sneakerhead.
Just runs in the family.
Yeah. I used to think it was ridiculous until you start coaching and you're around and you get on the sidelines once or twice and all of a sudden your back hurts and you don't know why.
Ridiculous.
Good shoes are important. That's my PSA outside of reading documents.
I can't normally wear shoes when I'm active that don't go above my ankles.
Really? I got away from high tops in high school.
I had to wear them because I needed that stability.
That was about the time, I don't know, Twitter or social media will know. I think they started making mids in like the late 80s, three quarters. The only high tops that I own are my Jordans.
Nice shoe.
They just don't even feel right. I don't like anything around my ankle.
Like I said, it has to be when I'm active, though. Like if I'm playing basketball, it has to come up to my ankle. I can't wear like Kobe's that come below the ankle.
How about all the players that wear low tops? I don't think anybody wears high tops anymore.
Yeah, I'm an ankle roller.
Get those ankles taped. Work on that dexterity.
It could be taped, and I'm still wearing high tops.
Yeah.
I'm wearing high tops. I'm wearing braces. I'm wearing it all. You looked down at my ankles, and you're like,
"What are you, 50?"
You're like, "Did he get hit by a softball? Like, why is it swollen up?" Nope, or swelling up.
Like Barry Bonds breaking the record. Clean it up.
Yeah, you may think that's a little ridiculous.
Like Barry Bonds cleaning up
back
the
of
record.
your head is ridiculous.
And your Creighton Blue Jays shaking off their house of horrors at Hinkle.
You know, that was a really, really good win. Matt grabbed his 100th Big East regular season win last night, 73-52 over Butler. Before we touch on the bulk of this game, I want to ask the listeners this. Comment, whether it's Twitter, whether you send us a message on YouTube. Who had the most rebounds last night?
Oh, yeah.
From Creighton. Comment that. Don't look at the box score. Just think back. Remember, if you watched. If you didn't watch, take a guess. Who had the most rebounds? And then we'll revisit that point. But no real big shooter, I should say, on the floor last night for Creighton. Everybody kind of got their piece.
Yeah.
They got a piece of the pie. And I almost wonder if the total involvement was better than just relying on 1 or 2 shooters.
Well, I think as the season progresses, I think that's how they've got to play. I mean, for success, because on any given night, it could be anyone. So why not try to have that be as many as possible? That's just me.
Well, and in many ways, you're giving the defense. You're putting the defense in a position to where now they have to expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, Shireman and Alexander are the 2 that are going off for this team right now. I'm going to fade this direction, maybe move off my defender, play a little help side. And now you're looking at, hey, anybody can fire the ball. And so I have to stay tight on my defender, opens up a lot of lanes, gets you the look that you're looking for.
Who had the most shot attempts last night from the field?
I do know this. I do know this answer. It is a bench player.
No, it is not.
Oh, just out of both teams?
For Creighton. Who had the most shot attempts last night for Creighton?
It wasn't Farabello? Didn't he have 10?
Yes, it's a tie.
Was it Nemhard?
No.
I could have sworn it was Farabello.
It's a tie.
Well, Alexander is a no because he was in foul trouble. Kaluma's a no because he was in foul trouble. Shireman. Was it Shireman? It wasn't Kalk.
Your process of elimination is already flawed.
Was it Arthur?
It was the guy that we talked about yesterday with an evolving role in what is it? It would be Trey Alexander. How about that?
He played 25 minutes. Why would he have the most?
And he got 10
what
shots.
What am I doing?
Because he needs to be involved in the offense.
50% from the field, too.
Yeah, he was 5
Well
of
done.
10er. 5 of 10er. How about that? How about that?
And I just counted him off right away. Isn't it funny how 25 minutes and 20 minutes were your two most attempted shooters?
Yeah, he's got to hey, got to get it in.
And, you know, that's something I will say, too, about Farabello here is his shooting woes in this game weren't a concern of mine. And now it's probably because they had such a hefty lead. But it looked more like Creighton trying to get him involved.
He shot 25%, though.
Yes, but here's what I'm getting at. It looked like they were trying to get him more involved in this offense so you can get away with a poor shooting performance like that because he hasn't been shooting the ball all too much when he gets his time on the floor. But if they want to get him going, they have to build his confidence up. And if you want to get a guy like him, a six man coming off your bench, going down the stretch of the season, you have to have some sort of prowess to know, like, hey, when I'm in the game, I'm shooting the ball.
Do you have Rob's big box score open? And I'm not a huge plus minus guy.
Mm-hmm.
What was Frederick King's plus minus?
Yeah, another big one. 4.
That's it?
Yeah. You would have thought it was a lot more with how much time he spent on the floor.
Well, he only played 8 minutes, but I think he was 4 of 7 from the floor. He had the big block, so I didn't think Butler was scoring. So I thought maybe his plus minus would have been around 8 or 9.
Yeah, you would think.
Like a point per minute he was on the floor is what it seemed in my head. Who had the best plus minus?
Do you want to take a guess?
Is it a starter?
Yes.
Kenny.
Can I ask 2 more questions? Who played more minutes between Kaluma and Shireman?
Kaluma played 30. Shireman played 31.
I will take Shireman.
It is actually Nemhard.
Really? What was it?
23. He was the only one in the
20s. Interesting.
Kaluma was actually second with 18.
Kaluma was going to be my guess, but I want to get off the beaten path.
And then it was Kalk, and then it was Shireman.
Interesting.
But like I said, I love the spread that we're seeing here. Think about how much time the bench got in this game.
Yeah.
I think, was it Kugler that said this at the end of the game? I think it was.
Calvin Kugler.
Kugler.
Shane, what's his last name again?
Kevin Kugler.
Like Lining Kugler or something. Like, why are there so many syllables?
Well, it's Lining Google.
why is there so many syllables?
In Kugler or?
Yeah, it's just Kugler, isn't it?
It's Kevin Kugler.
You don't say Bahi, do you?
No.
No.
So Kugler said, not great, but an improvement from what the bench has given all season.
Yeah, still not a ton of minutes, though. Right? It's like, I think Farabello's the only one that touched double digits. And bench minutes. Yeah.
Did he get there?
I
think he did.
He played a ton. He played like
You're right.
18 minutes
You're
or
right.
something.
20.
Yeah. He played a ton.
Yeah, King, though, how about we were just talking about King
I know.
2 days ago.
I know. So he's interesting. And, he had the big blocks and he kind of made his presence felt. And they had a really good matchup when King was on the floor with, I almost want to say, with Turnbull.
Yeah. Product of Missouri, St. Louis area.
I like how you gave me the So, and I thought they may exploit it more, but you know what? I don't know him from Adam, right? I don't know him from a hole in the wall. But do you know why I'm going to like Frederick King? Because he appears, I have no idea what's happening behind the scenes. I asked Mac about a lot of non-basketball things, but the emotions of his team isn't one. King seems like a guy I like because he has to have a fantastic temperament. He has shown you flashes of being able to be really, really productive. He has some foibles, right? Like, and he doesn't appear. He doesn't appear to waver when he gets on the court. He still balls out.
I'm
right?
with you.
So I think I gravitate towards.
You know what's crazy too is to
Dude,
add.
he went on like a 3-game run that was silly. He was shooting like
Right.
88% from the floor, and then Colt comes back and it's like, hey, that's great. Doesn't really fit with you guys being on the floor together with how we like to play defense.
So you're going to go back to playing 5
Yeah,
minutes.
single-digit minutes. So, I mean, he's got to be a heck of a guy.
Well, you have to think upstairs too that he's a good teammate.
Yeah. See,
right? Because he doesn't desire all those minutes because he makes the most of the minutes he gets.
Right.
I like that about him.
You know, I was talking to Coach Huffman long before we had to do the dump yesterday. And he
long is an understatement.
What? It was 30 minutes. That is an eternity for me on the phone.
Not even just for you. That's an eternity for me on the phone. And I talk a lot.
But we got into these things, and I'm not gonna put him out there or anything. But we got into these things about it's basically what I was tweeting about recruiting, right? When I said, and it's for the coaches too, right? Like find the guys that embrace the process of playing and practicing more than being recruited. And it doesn't take long to figure out who those guys are. And we were talking about players and who's playing and who's not playing. And he said a great phrase. We were talking about a player, and I was like, gosh, you may need him. And he said, well, I'd like to think I don't need anybody. Right. And it was very direct, and I got
on
to think,
time.
And I was thinking to myself, you know what? That's exactly right. As a coach, you want the guys. We got into this yesterday. You want the guys that you feel you don't have to babysit. Give me the known, and I think coaches will figure out the rest. You don't want a guy that's going to go from a 2 to a 10, then back to a 4, then back to a 9. Give me the 7. And almost all coaches will take that because you know what you're getting. Because sometimes you hear fan bases, oh, why doesn't he play this guy or why doesn't he play that guy? And almost 100% of the time, it's not personal. Do you know what it boils down to? Does the coach trust him? That's the thing, because when you're coaching, you think you can fix all the rest. You just want a normal EKG line, not a flat line, obviously, but you just don't want all the spikes. And I think that's how coaches look at rotation and using their bench in minutes.
So say the quote again.
He said, well, I'd like to think I don't need anybody.
Let's put it on the back wall. Here we go. Add it to our back wall.
He said, he's like, that's just how I want to coach. And I'm like, gosh, you know what? And I say it a little different. Like I tell our high school guys and our middle school team that I coach, I said, I like to coach my way into having options, right? I don't want to be married to one particular kid. So I'm coaching everybody. Because I don't want you to coach me into a box where I feel like I have to play you. Like I'm just not going to try to do that.
I can't believe this segment is already at the 48-second mark and counting. Our poll question of the day: with the 45-day portal window closing today, what's your reaction to the job Matt Rule has done so far? Are you freaking out in a good way? Exactly what I expected. Wishing for more linemen, or freaking out in a bad way?
Shannon, if we could play music, we'd play Terrence Trent D'Arby, Wishing Well, but of course, we're not there yet.
So you're just wishing for music.
Listen like a bandit stealing time underneath the sycamore tree. Back after this.
Rogers Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
What is that?
That's not Terrence Trent D'Arby. I did listen to him on break, as you know.
I was like, what did you say there? We are back on Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. I was scrolling Twitter during the break.
Why?
And I saw a tweet because I like to stay up to date with things.
Hey, TweetDeck changed your life, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Oh, my goodness. That was an all-you moment. Now, I mentioned Deion Sanders putting quotes on the wall.
Okay.
And you have to tell me 3 times for me to remember something. But you said something like, I don't want players to.
Hey, I'd like to think I don't need anybody.
Yeah, see, I was close, right? No.
So Coach Huffman's making the quote.
Yeah,
board?
he is. He's making the quote board. That's a good one. I don't think I need.
He said, as a coach, I'd like to think I don't need anyone.
And so it made me think back to what we saw yesterday on Twitter regarding the Colorado football team and the drill sergeant status and things of that nature. You know, that group chat was blowing up. That football group chat was blowing up after that meeting.
I don't understand
the idea behind it.
Listen, multiple. You're laughing your head
because I have such a great prompt to ask you afterward, and I can't
multiple ways to skin a cat. That I don't understand, though. But here's the thing. Because I've seen it happen at Minnesota, and it works, so I'm not knocking it. The delivery and the repetitive words used and like the whole that be elite mindset can definitely work. And I know that there are some people that thumb their nose up at PJ Fleck. But the reality of it is the culture that he's building is winning. Now, whether they're retaining coaches or not is something altogether different. But he wins more games than he loses. And I'm a guy that thinks as long as your players believe it, doesn't matter.
You think they believe in what was happening?
That's what I don't know yet. It's early.
Because they did not seem very antsy to get out of their chairs.
But they probably didn't know what was going on. Like, that was live on demand. Like, that was one of the few Deion things that wasn't scripted. That was like...
It sure as heck felt forced.
That was, like... I'm talking about their response because you don't know if they're going to get it. I'm sure they knew what they wanted. Hey, man, film this. Hey, get this on film.
And show it if it looks good and don't show it if it looks bad.
But it's like, if everybody's in on that, I guess everybody's in on that.
It could work in one or two hands, right? And this is how I think. You know, because I saw Steve Merrick post something similar to this. This is what I think. Do you make fun of it whenever you kick their butt this year, as every other team on their schedule? Or if you are winning, do you just fall back on, hey, they know how to win, they can coach however they want?
Yeah.
That's how I think.
I think it's going to be the latter if they win.
Hey, let's go to the phone here because we have Dominic Casciato on with us, the Union Omaha new head coach here in town. Coach, thanks for taking some time.
Coach, congratulations. Good morning.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Coach, you know, a unique journey to get you where you are today. A London native, bringing 12 years of coaching experience across multiple levels in both the U.S. and Europe. You've kind of coached all over the place. Most recently, you spent time as an assistant for USL Championship member El Paso Locomotive FC. You were chosen out of an elite group of candidates that, at least is what Union Omaha reps kind of said, because the search was so exhausting. So that in turn being something that showed that you stuck out to them. But, you know, to the average fan, what makes you the right person for this job?
Well, first off, I think there's a lot of people that the club would have spoken to and a lot of coaches. So I feel privileged to have the opportunity to look up. I think in terms of playing style, we're going to be a team that wants to try and control games, dominate games with or without the ball. And then we're going to build a culture and a spirit within the team that means we never know when we're beat and we're never going to give up.
Known as having that aggressive style that I think you're alluding to, and it showed in all the stats we saw. And El Paso's journey and goals scored across the league. When you say that, it's rare for such a quality program to get such a quality coach like in a transition like this. It's almost like, wow, if you're going to lose your current coach and the prowess that they had, there could be this level of trepidation. It seems to be a good fit early on. Would you rather build or continue as a head coach?
Yeah, there's a lot of respect for what Jay and his staff did before me and the success that the club had, before I've arrived. It's a fantastic job. So I think he come in and try and revolutionise and be the wrong approach.
How much?
I think it's more a case of evolving and, maybe changing the style a little and trying to build on what's already been laid there, the foundation's already been put in place.
Coach, how much is your experience with U19s and kind of understanding the younger circuit translates or correlates to what you want to do with Union Omaha?
Yeah, I think if you look at the game, all players want to do two things, right? They want to enjoy what they do and they want to get better, right? And I think that is the same for a kid who's 6 or 7 years old just starting to play the game. I think it's the same if you're 18, 19-year-olds trying to push for the first team. And then I think it's the same for guys playing in the first team who are getting paid to do this. On top of, having fun and learning, obviously we all want to win. And I think, my track record alludes to us doing that.
Yeah, Coach, you're talking about that success and you jumping right into the winning culture. Would you say that appealed to you most whenever you were going after this job?
Yeah, I think it's a huge challenge, right? I think, as I said, there was great work done before I came. And I think that would scare a lot of people coming into a job where there's been a lot of success over the 3 years that the club exists. But for me, I just expect it as a great challenge to look at the club's record, players on, into top clubs in the USL Championship and now in the MLS with Ryan Seaver. And I just thought it was a great opportunity to continue to build on those foundations.
Talking with new Union Omaha head coach Dominic Casciato. Coach, I was just saying this was off air, and we were talking about trying to win at the collegiate and high school level. And I said to Andrew, I said, administration and support is so important. You get to work with guys like Gary Green and Marty Cordero, two of the great good guys in terms of what they represent and mean in the community. How important was that to you?
That was huge. And I think the people that you work with in the front office and on an ownership level really determine how successful you can be, right? So working with someone like Gary, working with someone like Marty and Peter Marlette as well, these guys have a good feeling. And we spoke about expectations for year one and understanding that the club has had success, but we potentially have a little bit of a short run-up season. But the fact that they were so transparent with that and so supportive of me, so interested in me, really gave me a lot of confidence to take the job.
Coach, outside of soccer, what about the city of Omaha gets you excited to be here?
Yeah, so I'm probably the whitest man on the planet. So I wasn't really made for El Paso in the summers here. I'm looking forward to the money I'm going to save on Sunblock. But no, I know it's a great place to live. I know there's a great soccer culture there as well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the fans get behind the team.
Fairly surprised by all the so many different facilities. They play it at a high level, at the youth level. There's a very good soccer community here. Did that get your attention as well?
Yeah, that was about already. I knew about some of the strong college programs that you've got there. Creighton, UNO, you've got IWCC not too far away. You've got Bellevue University there as well. So I was aware of a lot of these programs before. And I think that alludes to being a real strong soccer city. where there's already good players in place that, potentially we could be signing some of these colleges.
It's fantastic.
Coach, good luck to you, man. Thanks so much for the time this morning, and hopefully we talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations,
welcome,
Coach. Best wishes.
Welcome, for sure.
See you, guys.
He gets two fantastic guys, in Marty Cordero and Gary Green. Gary Green strikes me as the type of guy, if he could even touch me and let me have some success, right? It's like whatever he is involved in typically does well.
He's a genie.
And if Marty wanted to get into politics, which would be too much of a headache for him, there's no question he could run for
I don't know
office.
if he wants to give up on his two sports teams in town. I don't know who would.
Anybody say a bad word about Marty Cordero?
Nah, I haven't heard one.
He's the real deal.
And so is Union Omaha, and hopefully they continue the success rate that they're on. Coming up, we'll talk our poll question. We'll talk transfer portal and Husker football.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
DB showing off his T-shirt for those of you that are joining us now live on TikTok. Welcome to the show. We appreciate having you here. We also appreciate all of you at home, whether you're on YouTube, Twitter, listening on the radio currently on 590 ESPN here in Omaha, 1480 ESPN Lincoln, or anywhere from around the state. Thanks for joining us for Coffee and Cream here, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers. I took some heat, DB, for wearing my Shamrock pullover today. Kind of like how you take heat all the time for wearing Wisconsin gear.
Hey, so what is that?
This is my high school.
What
we were the Celts, but it was a Catholic school. St. Patrick was the patron saint, so we were a very Irish school.
Yeah.
So they went with this look for our baseball warm-ups.
So somebody tweeted me something yesterday, and in typical DB fashion, I wanted to ask a follow-up question, but it sounded so ridiculous, but it's legit, that I was afraid to ask it publicly. So I was in Utica, right? Saturday, home of Brett Maher,
which is crazy
at Centennial High School.
We found that out,
right? I was just like, wow. But so, my buddy that I was with, that I went to go see, was out in Chambers, Nebraska. So he sent the picture yesterday. He's out on, I guess that's a semi. I have no idea why it has so many dials on it. I should have asked.
Is it a semi, or was it like a piece of farming equipment that he was driving?
So
on the road?
Does like, he's one of those guys. He's great. So do you know why I like this guy? This is how we got to be friends. Our kids started playing together. We were at a tournament in Ames. I'd never met him before a day in my life. He's going to play with our summer team, and it's a fantastic team, right? I think they're the best in the region. But anyway, I'm sitting next to him because they're new and we kind of have the same guys. So I'm just sitting next to him I just want to be his friend, right? And I'm watching him write furiously while he's on the phone. There's all these numbers.
Like he's dulling his pencil.
Decimal points. And I mean, he's going fast, talking fast. And so I don't know him from a hole in the wall. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is exactly what I said.
I know.
I go, what is that? And he was bidding in his head profit margin loss, getting feed for cattle. And he was calculating it on the fly so he could get yield, so he could tell his guy that was going to buy what cattle to buy.
Oh, I see.
That's
I have no idea what any of that meant, but I kept asking question after question after question.
And then it's the second half.
Dude, it's 4 years later, and he's like one of my best friends. It's like, and it all started with watching him.
Well,
because I was just captivated by, me in numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like to look at them and memorize them, and sometimes I can regurgitate them. And I'm just watching him furious. So when he got into the business acumen of it, of trying to predict growth versus feed versus loss, like how much to invest, and he was doing it on the fly, I was like, I think I can like you.
I'm a big proponent of surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me.
Yeah, and he's great.
And that's what he sounds like to you.
So he was in Chambers, right? And I tweeted it out, and I had to Google it, right? You saw me. I'm like, gosh, where's Chambers, Nebraska? It's one of the few. It's not one of the few. It's just one of the places I haven't been to.
Right.
And
trying to catch that fly.
Somebody tweeted back to me, hey, it's just X amount of miles from X place, home of the world's largest shamrock.
Columbus? Chambers?
And I wanted to say so bad, Drew Down. I wanted to say like a statue or a replica, or is it actually growing in the ground? Because I've never seen a real life shamrock. I wanted to know.
Growing in the ground.
See, that's why I didn't ask. I'm like, it would die, right?
Right.
So what
especially on a day like today.
So what makes it the largest shamrock?
Well, so at least in other
can you see why I didn't ask that question?
Yeah, it would just be that it's the biggest statue, right?
Oh, is that what it is?
Like that's how I
should have asked him.
So there's a place.
I'm gonna DM you because this is gonna sound stupid to the 50,000 followers, but like, what do you mean? Like, I've never seen a shamrock grow.
There's a place in Cuba, Missouri.
Who?
Cuba, Missouri, kind of like Chambers here in Nebraska. Cuba, Missouri, off the beaten path, home to the world's largest rocking chair.
Like the one that Edith Ann used to sit in?
That bigger.
Do you know Edith Ann?
No, but I just know that it's bigger.
You know what? I'm really excited about today.
Missouri, by the way, has a
Why
lot.
does Edith sound like Zoe?
Because that's how Google Edith Ann. I'm dead serious. You said the world's largest rocking chair, and all I could think of was Edith Ann. All I could think of is Lily Tomlin. This little girl sits in a giant rocking chair.
Yes, essentially that's what it looks like. It's a giant rocking chair.
Dude, is my frame... Do you look at me sometimes and you're like, why? Where are you getting these analogies from? No, seriously. Edith Ann. And that's her voice. So over break, you pull it up, and that's how she talks.
This is the...
know,
now it's the second largest rocking chair.
You know what?
It got beat.
Is anybody using it, or is it for show?
No, it's for show. Look, it's that big.
Nobody's sitting in that.
That's like probably what the Shamrock looks like.
That reminds me of the billboard in Ebbing, Missouri. What was it? 3? Did you ever see that movie? You probably didn't because you don't watch movies.
I do watch movies. I just haven't seen
What's
movies.
the Ebbing, Missouri movie, Shane, where the lady couldn't find her daughter? 3 billboards and something. It reminds me of that billboard.
Right.
And they burned it. You don't know. Be quiet.
Somebody that's calling in right now probably does.
Just placating me.
So now the new world's largest rocking chair is in Illinois. Believe it or not. Believe it or not.
Oh,
we just spent 9 minutes talking about a rocking chair.
No. That was premature. That was premature.
Premature Schillerberglation.
Let's change gears. A lot of coaches on the move yesterday, and you ended back up at Westside to be around your kid. And
nope, he doesn't want me around. I go to meet the coaches.
Sorry, you don't put your kid first. You can put yourself first. We get it.
He's like, so when I'm in the hallways all the time, everybody else. Hey,
DB, what's up, coach?
Everybody, but boys, girls, coaches, right?
Caleb
teachers.
Walks by.
Caleb
gives you the cold shoulder.
You know what he did yesterday? And kept it pushing.
Just threw it up.
Yeah, go figure out dinner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, think about who pays for the meals on the table at night.
Brought that dude macaroni and cheese from HVC, man.
You brought him Little King the other day before a game.
Yeah,
we'll see what a peace sign gets him next time.
Turkey cheese light mayo.
Yeah, maybe the next sandwich comes without meat.
Yeah, so it was like, and this a lot of what I was talking to. This was my preliminary call to Coach Huffman, but talking to Coach Martin or Coach Lamanji, like sometimes when coaches don't tell you their exact times or they're not on time, schools can overlap, so it can kind of get a little awkward. But I think coaches are cool with it. They know how to play it. They're used to being in buildings at the same time as other schools when you're recruiting guys. But so we worked our way around that, and I spent a lot more time at Westside yesterday than I thought because Coach Foley came. Then, like 4 hours later, Coach Sat came.
Which is that uncommon to see two coaches?
I haven't seen it
same
before.
Team?
Now, I have seen this. I have seen 2 coaches from the same school show up at a school and not know the other was coming.
That's funny.
It's not good.
Poor communication. It tells a lot about your program.
But I haven't seen it scheduled where I'll come in the morning, you hit them in the afternoon. And Coach Foley and Coach Sat are 2 completely different people. Right, like Coach Satterfield is very he's very direct, kind of knows what he wants, knows what he's looking for. Kind of more of a get to the point kind of guy. Although he seems like he'd be a lot of fun. Coach Foley is like
he sounds like the fun one.
It's like this man of the people.
Every time I think of him, I think of Matt Foley. You know that SNL skit?
He's kind of like a man of the people.
Living in a van down by the river.
You know, it's whatever, whenever, I'll make it work. Coach Haycock and Coach Campbell, which, by the way, Coach Campbell, how tall would you guess Coach Campbell?
He's not big.
No, he actually is. That's what I said.
What?
That's what I said. Yes, he is. Long and lean. Oh,
how tall is he?
Got to be 6'2".
No
6'1", yeah.
way.
Yeah. You'd be shocked.
I would be shocked because
6'1".
I quickly snapped back and said he's
Yeah,
not tall.
very long.
Now he does surround himself with 6'9" guys all the time. So
And,
maybe when we see him on TV, he doesn't look very big.
So it was and this morning, and I don't know, I haven't heard without school, Coach Ferentz and Coach Woods.
They were out in Iowa yesterday.
Yeah.
A kid that I used to cover in the Sioux City area over at CLGLR, which is Central Lion George Little Rock.
Wow, well played off the fly.
Yeah.
Northwestern was in town. They went to go see Danny Kaline at
Yeah, they went to see Zach Lutmer up there. I don't know if that's a familiar name to you, Lutmer. Good player, really good player. But yeah, are they making the trip with the weather incoming?
Yeah, it was supposed to be 9, so which is why I told Shane I wanted to hustle, but I don't know. I don't know what
with
the
school cancellations. Can you do that? Can you still meet up with like coaches at the school if school's not in session? I wonder.
By the way, caller Adam.
Yeah.
He called in and he said that that's a painted shamrock in the middle.
Well, why did you let me talk to Adam? I'm sure Adam would have probably made. I'm sure he probably would have made fun of me, but
he didn't want to hang on.
That was
painted one.
That would have made. That was a legit question, right? It probably wouldn't come over well on social media. Like I meant like a. I wanted to just say a real shamrock. Like, what do you mean?
Did you put GMOs in it?
Okay. See, I thought I was in a safe place. And that's what we're on this morning?
Well, we'll ask Brian Christopherson. How about that next?
Well, I know he's safe.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Hey, we are back, top of the hour. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club, on YouTube, on Twitter. That's Hail Varsity for both of those two. And Hail Varsity Radio on Twitter, 590 ESPN Omaha, 1480 ESPN Lincoln. He's Damon Benning. I'm Andrew Rogers. Let's clear something up before we get to Brian Christopherson here. The world's largest shamrock is not a statue. It's actually painted, as a listener informed us.
Shane, did he give you the inkling that he was kind of laughing at me, or was he educating me?
He was educating. It
All
sounded
right.
like
I'm Team Adam.
he knew.
Go Adam.
He knew that area pretty well.
So my buddy just texted me. He said, "What is O'Neill, Nebraska for 1,000, please, Alex?" And I will not get into the rest of what he said because he has no sense.
Hey, all I know is this: it's painted in the center of town at a huge road intersection. It looks like, and it says every St. Patrick's Day, the O'Neill Irish dancers do some dance Irish reels and jigs on the Shamrock. They must go hard in O'Neill for St. Patty's Day.
Did they use the word jigs?
They said jigs.
Are you guys going?
Are you an Irish jig guy?
Nope. Nope. Not at all.
Let's change gears. Let's talk to
Speak and read slowly.
Let's talk to Brian Christopherson.
Okay, Mr. Griffin the third.
Hey, Brian. Good morning. What's up, man?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Hi, BC.
Hey, good. Hey, yesterday you shared something on Twitter that really got me at the heart. He shared the new Homer golf course. So when are we going golfing?
My brother I sent it to my brother and he got us a tee time on July 30th, I believe. Somebody told me there were no tee times at that course the rest of the year, but there were some. So if people saw that course, which looked amazing,
I am calling today.
There's still opportunity. Yeah.
Did you make it for 3? Like, did your brother just say exclude me, or what's up?
Well, there's 3 of us. You could kick my dad out. That would be a real heartless thing for you to do. But we can bring you along and have that conversation with my father and be like, "I'm sorry, you're out, Dad."
No, I can't. I can't have you do that to him.
Not on this one. So. Okay. All right. But yeah. So there are opportunities out there, though. That course, man, I didn't even know that was happening. And I saw the picture, and it just I stared at it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, they talked about it being one of the nicest courses in the world when it first was being built. I don't know if it reaches that pinnacle just yet, but it's pretty nice.
BC?
Things are on the uptick around here. Yeah.
I know you're always like, gosh, why are you always asking me these perspective questions? But it's because of your temperament. Right? You're just kind of even keeled. So let me ask you, it seems like sometimes we've had these conversations when a new staff arrives, there's this new recruiting energy, this new recruiting buzz. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I saw it firsthand most recently with Coach Joseph, especially in the Metro, right? He really changed the narrative in a hurry with the interest in the Metro. Nebraska's current staff has almost doubled down on it. Do you remember a time or the last time that a school sent multiple coaches to a school intentionally at different parts of the day?
I'm not saying they haven't done it before and I didn't know about it, but that does seem different to me. And it seems all part of an aggressive plan that has really been in place since week 1, since they got here. You'd have to say that we're going to start here and we'll work out. But we're not going to let kids that are talented in this area think for a second that we're not looking at them, that we don't have intrigue, that we don't want to have those conversations, and we'll see where it goes from there. But we're going to be in your territory often, and we're going to send different people at you, which I think just adds, with a prospect. It's one thing when you develop a relationship with just one coach, but then you're like, okay, they're sending like 2 or 3 coaches to my school, that has to fire you up a little bit, and kind of really get you thinking about that program even more. And you get to know the different personalities of the coaches. And I don't see how that wouldn't be appealing. So, I wrote a couple weeks ago when Satterfield talked about maybe them having an identity on offense they can finally get behind. I think the biggest thing you could say for sure so far is they really believe in their identity as a recruiting staff and what they're all about and how they're going to attack it and the areas they're going to attack. And it's a pretty well-oiled plan. It seems like every day when I wake up and kind of see where they're going and how they map it out. I mean, it feels like it's not just flying by the seat of your pants, which would be easy to do right now at this early time when you just got to a program, but that's not what's happening.
If you're looking for Brian's work, he's the senior writer for Husker247.com. Toss him a follow at Husker247BC on Twitter. You talk about, making it known to these recruits that this coaching staff is interested. And you wrote an article, your most recent one actually, was about the impression Matt Rule had on Dylan Raiola and his family. How realistic are the chances, though, at landing a guy like him?
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, Steve Wiltfong, our national writer, wrote that one. So I just want to be clear. So no, that's all right. I just wanted to say that. So it's like I didn't hear the tone, and stuff on the other end. He talked to Dominic, of course, the former Husker great, and dad of Dylan. I'm like a lot of people who are in this industry who have sort of heard maybe that Georgia is like the front runner. And so I think there's reason to say that. However, there's time. There is still time to, make something happen. And Matt Rule is going to put in a good effort to try to make it happen for Nebraska. That's obvious by him going all the way out there. And if nothing else, I think he's given them a lot to think about. And of course, this is a family that knows the Husker program inside and out. So that part, you've got that advantage, whenever you talk to the Raiolas. I mean, that Donovan's coaching here. Donovan, wants this program to really take off and fly. And I think it's been a special place to Dylan, too, and because it's special to his family. I know when he first got the offer way back when, he talked about family, like even in the tweet when he put it out there. So I don't know. Would I favor Nebraska at this very hour? No, I wouldn't. But you see an article like that and you read the quotes, and I think Dominic Raiola is a straight shooter. I take him at his word when he says it's open until they say otherwise. You fight the fight and see what happens. And there are a couple levers Nebraska has to pull in this one that at least make them an interesting wild card, if nothing else. And maybe they're more than that. Who knows?
BC, how careful or cautious are you? We kind of seen this when we get guys from other schools, these assumptions are made, and in terms of what we're inheriting, right? We saw it with Mathis and Wynn. Although Mathis on tape had a lot more to go on than I would say Wynn did. But we've seen it with what's going on in the secondary, guys coming from other conferences that get to Lincoln, and all of a sudden we have this expectation. When you look at a guy like MJ, how cautious are you given where we've ramped up our expectations when we get guys from other perceived better conferences?
No, that's a fair question, because I think we do have to be careful to just be like, well, sometimes you'll hear this conversation around the state. This guy came from Georgia or this guy came from Alabama. Well, look at that. He's going to be something else. It could be, but if Nebraskans, I think at this point have seen that that doesn't always translate to a guy just being a dominating player. And O'Shawn Mathis had an okay year this past year, but he wasn't a dominating player for certain. And there was sort of that hope, and it was pretty built up. I would say that one was as hyped as about any. And I feel like this last week there's been some proper perspective about MJ, and just he only played 42 defensive snaps last year at Georgia, and the year before I think he played 91. Those were his counts. So he was mostly a special teams guy. So he's probably like 5th or 6th at his spot, at Georgia. And that, so I think you just take that information and you say, well, he hasn't proven it yet, but he should be a motivated guy. And just because you're 5th or 6th at your spot at Georgia doesn't mean you can't be really good here at Nebraska. And I think you just have an open mind about it. So I do. And I want to have an open mind about everything with a new staff, like the type of guys they pick from the portal, how they develop those guys. I think sometimes we like to always cross over into what happened previously, and we say, well, that's going to happen again. And maybe it will, but let's give this new staff a chance to pluck their guys out of the portal that they think can be pretty immediate contributors, and then give them an opportunity to develop them. And I do know with Sherman out of Georgia, his family and him, they are very well thought of from that program. I haven't seen this very much the way I saw it on Monday. There were a bunch of Georgia writers in our network who just were really excited for him and like, wishing him that he would sort of take off at Nebraska, because he had that sort of personality you gravitate toward. So I think if nothing else, Damon, that's a pretty good starting point. You've got a guy who definitely has the high-end potential. We don't have to overdo it talking about it, but it's there. And then you got a guy who, by all accounts, is just going to be good for your locker room, if nothing else. And he's going to be a guy who wants to work. And, he had a quote I posted on Twitter when he was at Georgia where someone asked him about being like the, third team guy. And he said, I'm behind really great players and I just try to learn from them. And I can't kick rocks about it. I just need to put my head down and like, look at these guys. What are they doing? And use it. And so I really like some of the stuff I've read from him.
Call me crazy, BC, but yesterday not DB, BC. I asked him to call me crazy, not you.
Sorry, I apologize.
Call me crazy, BC, but yesterday I told DB, don't be shocked if you see MJ Sherman as one of Nebraska's defensive captains next year. Do you think that could be the case with how much he's matured as a vocal leader, and because it's a new staff, you don't have to actually physically be present on this team for years before you actually get a title like that?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that'll go. That so often comes to like just the vibe guys get, when they start like strength and conditioning stuff, it starts to build like who's really a leader on this team. And so he might have some catch-up work to do with some guys, but the point you make, I think, is well taken, that a lot of stuff like that we might want to view a little bit differently this year, because everybody's starting sort of with a blank slate, with this staff. And Matt Rule said that himself on the early signing day press conference. That's the way he wants it to be. And that should be exciting for some guys, not just transfers like MJ coming in, but I mean, there's players who have been in the program a couple of years that we haven't heard as much from, or there's been injuries and this and that. And sometimes I'll hear people say, well, it's that guy going in the portal. And I think this would be the worst time to go in the portal for some of these guys. I mean, this is their chance in front of new faces to put their best foot forward and show, hey, I can be a part of this, and reset the video game, so to speak. So I do think when it comes to captains and some of that stuff, yeah, there's a possibility when we get to that there could be a guy that you wouldn't necessarily say would traditionally have been that, but he is on that team. But that's a ways away, and we have to see how Matt Rule likes to do his captains and all that stuff. So there's all that stuff's yet to be figured out.
BC, let me ask you this: with, again, just being measured. I think you take your time following up on some of your pieces that you're doing on 24/7 Sports, which is really good because I like how you set the stage for like doing your homework, right? So you're talking about Xavier Betts, and I asked you a couple weeks ago. I said intrigued, eye roll, or you kind of get the pushback and the trepidation as you've kind of followed this closely, and you look at that wide receiver room and its totality. If folks maximize, right, the edge room, the inside backers, the safeties, the wide receivers, the tight end, if folks maximize in a particular room, what room, in your opinion, has the most upside from where we're looking at it today?
I would say right now the secondary, and my reason for that is when Evan Cooper was up there last week, I asked him a question about, what do you think about what you've got in the cupboard?
Mm-hmm.
And he gave, I guess, what you could say is, some would say, well, that's coach speak. What's he going to say? Down talk his guys? No. But the way he if you listen to his tone and the way he talked about what's in there and certain guys and how he's met so much already with Marquise Buford and Malcolm Hartzog and guys like that, I started thinking more about the defensive backfield. I was like, those guys are all still around. Like, Gifford's still there and Quentin Newsom's still there. And so I think sometimes there's an assumption that everybody in this portal era, like 2 or 3 of those guys are going to skip out of town or something, or there maybe was that thought in early December. And that whole starting secondary is sort of still in place. And so my answer is the one I give because I think there's a foundation where maybe there's some concrete set now. I feel like a lot of those guys had to go through the growing pains last year. Certainly Buford had to do some of that, and I know he's coming off an injury and he's going to have to work back from that. But I just feel like as that season went along and you thought about how they were playing at the end of it, there were guys starting to grow more comfortable in how to be a college football player at this level. And so that's why I give the answer I do. Now, if you wanted to go a different route with Xavier and, it's seeming like Isaiah Garcia Castaneda is maybe a part of the mix too now.
How about that? How about that curious case? IGC's got nothing on Benjamin Button.
Well, the thing I remember about him is Coach's last fall camp, before things kind of got a little sideways. They really talked about him as a worker.
I'm in that camp. I was in that camp. I loved IGC, and he was hurt.
Yeah, as a guy. Yeah, what I guess I'd say to this is, I think people should be careful with any preconceived notions about this guy or that guy, whether it's Garcia Castaneda or Xavier, or if they're coming back, is that going to mess up the apple cart or something like that? I don't think that at all. I really don't. I don't think I believe both those guys can fit back in, and it's just about putting the work in and showing I want to be a part of this, and I'm with you. And if they do that, especially as we've talked about earlier in the segment with a fresh start for everyone, there's a lot of talent with both those guys. I mean, if you think about the first game last year, Isaiah was the guy who had 120 yards or whatever. And I know he had the fumble, or we can question if it was a fumble that ended up being costly. But if people remember on that play, you saw what he's like in space, where he made about 2 or 3 guys miss before the ball came out inside the 15. So he's got some wiggle to him. And I think he's a guy who's, when his mind is on it, he's a pretty determined dude. And I know Xavier can be that way as well. So You know me, Damon. I'm rooting big for like those type of stories. Like
Yep.
I love guys that we all get knocked down with things in life, and I love when guys come back, and I love when coaches do their research on a guy and they give a player a second chance. And I think Rule staff has done that with people before, and they've had success, and there's no reason they couldn't again.
Hey, BC, yesterday we had a conversation, DB and I went back and forth about what position group would be more likely for Tony White to attach himself to. I said, or maybe spend the most time. I said the defensive line. He said the secondary, and he went that route because of what he said about the secondary. But in your opinion, where is he focusing? Because when I looked at the defensive line, I said, well, at Syracuse, they said, hey, we're not allowing them to run the football. But like DB had in conversations with him about the secondary, he thought the latter. So I'm interested to get your viewpoint on that.
Especially given how glowing you were about the secondary and their upside.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I have no certainty to the answer, but I do think that with Evan Cooper is listed as the entire DB's coach, which is a big responsibility. I mean, we saw that last year. Remember when Mickey took over? One of the first things he did was he said, "I've got to take a little weight off Travis Fisher. Like I'm going to have him work with, I think, to get the corners, and Bill Bush was going to work with the safeties." And he talked about how that's the way it is at a lot of programs he's been. I think there's a lot of ways you can do it, but I would understand if, in this case, if you had another guy who gave a little bit more attention to either the safeties or the corners, while Cooper, attached himself to another part. But I don't know that for sure, because the way Cooper spoke about it a week or so ago, he's like, yeah, that's my group, the whole group. So he might be used to that, and they have a method for doing it that's just fine, and it works for them. But my first guess would maybe be secondary, I guess, just because of I feel like the safety spot in particular is one that it's to me like the quarterback of your defense so much. Like those guys have to know every little nuance. Otherwise, it's a 65-yard touchdown the other way where the band's playing. So if I were at DC, I would always want to be pretty tight with my safeties. And that's the only reason that's my I guess, wild guess in January about what he might do with that.
BC, I'm low key backpatting myself.
I wish you didn't say that,
because I guess safeties too. Let me get you out of this, BC, because you said something I think was funny. You talk about we have to be careful about the accolades or the expectations we put on guys just based on where they came from. A prime example of that, because he's one of my favorites, because I'd play with him. How about Marcus Washington, who's kind of an afterthought? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. He's a late addition, and man, down the stretch last year, how consistent was he? He came from a good school. We weren't really enamored by him, and he could be a leader in that room this year.
Yeah, he should be. And if people look at what he did the last few games,
just
like
tough.
Even the Michigan game, which is a sad story to think about with what that was on offense, but like he was the guy who caught like the 30-yard pass early, and the only guy who did anything really in that game on offense. And so I felt like he gained a lot of comfort. There was a few drops earlier in the year, and I think he was starting to get past that a little bit. But yeah, pretty good route runner, and there's no reason a guy like that doesn't have, I would say like 600 some yards in him. I think he's that type of receiver, and I don't know that Nebraska has to have Trey Palmer again, but if you have Marcus and you get a Xavier and you get Alante going and you have like 4 or 5 you feel really good about, you can get a lot done with that.
BC, man, you are one of the best.
Efficient, too.
Cannot wait to talk to you again next week. Thanks so much.
Thanks, B.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Senior writer for Husker 24/7, Husker 247 BC on Twitter. Andy Kendeigh, sports director at KETV, next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, back with you, Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. And I'm excited to welcome in our next guest, Andy Kendeigh, sports director at KETV. I'm excited for a multitude of reasons. One, we haven't spoken to him in a decent while. We had to push some things back, some change up in our guest order. Two, because he kind of went on a hiatus of his own, so hopefully all is good in the AK hood. And three, well, he was probably up in Wisconsin getting some Spotted Cow beer and driving back.
Did any of those things happen, AK?
Yeah, you're very close. Very close. Very close.
Absolutely. And all is well. All is in working order. Thank you very much. I don't know if anybody really knows what's going on, but I had my first colonoscopy last week.
Hey!
So, yay. I don't want to gross anybody out, but let's just say everything everybody has told me about that is true. The prep is the worst.
Great. I'm like.
And then did you drink Spotted Cow afterward?
I give it a day.
Okay.
Hey, AK, I don't even know where to start because, once you and I get going, it's like nobody else is in the room and I have a partner and that would be rude. But do you want to go? Should we talk Creighton recruiting or Nebraska and Ohio State's get right game tonight? I'm going to let you pick because I have something for everything.
Let's tee it up with Creighton. That's fresh on the mind.
So were you getting the sense here locally? And he had a double-double last night, and he said something interesting post-game about, and I'm talking about Nembhard, he hadn't felt well, hadn't been eating. He's kind of he hadn't had much of an appetite. Were you getting the sense in your sphere of influence that he was getting too much of the criticism?
I do think that he took his fair share. I just think the expectations were so big for this team, and he's such a key part of this team, and that when things aren't going well early on, that's when you have to place the blame on somebody. And Ryan Nembhard, I think, got the lion's share of it. But last night, I'll tell you, even if he's been sick or what have you, and hasn't been eating much, boy, was he good. And he is so crucial to their success. And when teams dedicate their defensive resources inside like they did last night because they were undermanned, missing their big guy, it certainly opens up the outside, and Creighton made them pay. But Nembhard is so good when he's on, and he was on last night. He was terrific. And double digits in rebounds, where'd that come from?
Hey, I'll change gears here and talk Nebraska basketball now with their Get Right game. A question that came up on the show that we didn't actually get to, so I'll actually ask you, AK. It pertains to CJ Wilcher and his ineffectiveness shooting the basketball right now. And it's kind of been an all-year thing. He's had some good spurts, but over the course of at least the last 10 games, he shot 25% or below in 6 of them. Would you attribute some of his poorer performances to youth, or is it something bigger?
Well, I just think it's basketball. Sometimes that you go through slumps, and CJ Wilcher is just working through it. And I think some of this can be contagious at points. It's such a mental thing, like so much in sports can be. And when your teammates are struggling, that certainly doesn't help as well. And it's one of those things that once one guy starts making shots, the other guys kind of do the same. And I think that might have to play in CJ Wilcher's part as well. I'm not, his role in the team obviously is to score when need be, but I still think that they can win if he's not scoring 15, 20 a game, obviously. So, he comes in averaging almost 9 a game and hasn't been shooting well, but that doesn't mean he won't shoot well tonight. I do think tonight is really important for Nebraska, not just from a win-loss perspective, but from a mental perspective. You get this one, and you really have some potential to do some things here down the stretch. It's going to be interesting, too, with the snow coming. What kind of crowd will you get? What kind of energy will you get? It has the potential of being a sleepy atmosphere at 6 o'clock. So I'll be interested to see how today plays out weather-wise and how many people can make it at the PBA tonight.
Nobody works closer of those that are talking in this conversation with Bill Ranby than you do, AK. Are you getting the inkling that it's coming?
Yeah, I am. Bill's, I've been in the biz now for 30 years, boys, and Bill, no question, tells it like it is, as good or better than anyone I've ever worked with. And it's a running joke. I've got snowblowers I have a snowblower that doesn't work, right? And he's like, did you fix it? And yesterday he asked me if I fixed it. So that tells me everything you need to know. And it's interesting when you look at the maps. I always give them grief. I said, Bill, you keep moving that 6 to 10 line, 6 to 10 inch line lower and lower. It keeps just getting more south and more south, and that covers up more of Omaha. And he goes, yep. He said it's coming. So that's why I'm a little interested to see how it all plays out and see how the fans can react, because I know so many fans make the trip from Omaha to Lincoln. It's going to be tough sledding tonight, I think, literally.
Okay, let me get to my other one with Nebraska, excuse me, and recruiting and canvassing this area locally, right? And it's not even just Nebraska. We saw Northwestern fly in and fly out. Just make one stop, quick stop at Bellevue West. And Nebraska, a couple coaches at one school. The other day, they sent a coach who didn't catch a student athlete at school, so he followed him to Metro Wrestling and told me the story that he's never recruited at a wrestling event, right? Tony White goes to watch Tyson Terry because he had left for Metros and didn't catch him at North after meeting with Coach Martin. When you look at picking up where I think the fans thought Coach Joseph was really making some inroads after the staff was kind of maligned for sleeping on the state of Nebraska, how impressive is it for you, or are you still in wait-and-see mode that they've been able to hit the ground running in the state of Nebraska?
I've been very impressed, Stevie, and very impressed not just with the individual efforts, but how cohesive it is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's intentional, but for a staff that really, I don't know how many times all of them have been in the same room at once. It's been a pretty amazing development to see all these guys going out locally, whether it be in the metro or in the state of Nebraska or in the footprint. It's been pretty impressive, even going down so far as to watch Ed Foley slapping a end magnet wherever he goes. I think those little things can invigorate and energize a fan base. And it's great to see pictures of high schools, especially the ones and ones you don't know but know the names of, like one out in Arizona. I think that's a huge deal at this point with this group of coaches in a group that really hasn't been together that long. And I think this is only going to continue to grow. And they've made their presence felt very early, and it's been very impressive.
AK, before we let you go, we got about 2 minutes here. My last question pertains to the remainder of the season for Nebraska basketball. Now 2-5 in conference play, sitting at 500 on the year. How important is a win right now, tonight, against Ohio State to stay above the curve and set the tone for the rest of the season and possibly still a chance at playing deep into March?
I think it's very important. There's something mentally too about getting under 500 when you look at your record and you're still at 500 or above. Once you start dipping below, that's a real big mental hurdle, in my opinion. And looking at their schedule, tonight's a game they got to get if they want to end the season above 500. I in my opinion, because you got to play at Penn State, who's so much better than most people thought they would be. Northwestern is going to be a tough game, as they always are.
They're pretty good.
Illinois, those are two tough. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you guys, this is a game that may be the most gettable of the next 4 or 5. So you better get it at home, and hopefully the Huskers have a home court advantage, because that's something they've lacked in 2 of their last 3 games.
Yeah,
at home.
Great piece from Robin Washut that I was reading earlier this morning, and I think he said it best, right? You got to get these at home and hold serve if you want to give yourself a chance to stay out of the Big Ten tournament time, and you're playing on the first day, it gets tough, right?
Yep. That play-in day is really tough. Really tough.
Hey, Andy, thanks so much, man. We appreciate your time. We'll talk again in 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Sure. You bet. Anytime, fellas. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks,
you, buddy.
He's the sports director at KETV. Not only can he talk sports, he can talk weather.
I'm telling you, hang out with him like
a jack of all trades.
30 minutes.
Well, I have Spotted Cow, so I can easily hang out with him.
It's going to go from 30 to an hour
before
30.
I even send him the text message.
He's fantastic.
Hey, coming up, we'll play 2 for You, presented by Dingman's Collision Center. That's next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, back with you on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. It's Coffee and Cream. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. We're playing two for you. 888-638-4876. If you would like to compete for some Hail Varsity Club gift cards, it ranges from $10 to $20 to $40, and you can keep doubling down as long as one of the three members on this show keep matching their answers. This game presented by Dingman's Collision Center. Dingman's is your one-stop shop for all of your car needs.
Ding!
It's Shane's one-stop shop for
I wanted to do that.
any need too. And I hit the bell on the nose. I don't even know. I was going to say nail on the head, but I don't know. What is the bell? What would you say? I hit the ring of the bell. We'll say ring of the bell. Whatever. We're going to count it. It's a layup, right? You know, it rolled around the rim a little bit, but
depends. Is it Russell Westbrook? Because it's not going in.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though. If you need to bring your car somewhere, though, bring it into Dingman's Collision Center. They've been in the business for over 25 years in Omaha. Locally owned, family-run business. We're all about supporting local here on this show, especially at least for me. DB is a little bit of the same. They invest in the latest technology to stay up to date with the ever-evolving technology of cars. They have this give back program where if you get service done at one of their shops, whenever you leave, you get to put I don't know exactly if it's like a ball or what, but you put it in a jar for a charity, and then they in turn support that charity will give back to the charity of your choice as you go in. It's one of the coolest initiatives I've seen at any place of business. They work on all makes and models from Fords to Teslas, 4 locations throughout the metro, along with a standalone mechanical shop at 120th and Maple. Best of Omaha, 18 years running. Go to dingmans.com to get a quote today. 888, again, 888-638-4876. Why are you laughing?
Hey, somebody tweeted at us and said, who keeps licking the microphone? And Pat's dumb butt said either Andrew or Damon, probably. What?
Is it
if anybody is a random licker, it would be Shane, not us. Oh man, people
licking the microphone.
Ooh, people are crazy. Well, you want me to say you're doing a good job?
Hey, thanks, Pat. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Why? That wasn't even directed at us. He just tagged us.
It's just what he does.
Or was it directed at us? Pat, call in at 888-638-4876.
No, we don't want to.
I want him to play. I want him to play.
You want Pat to play the game?
I do. I want somebody to play the game. Give us a call. And let's see here.
Pat would be funny. Pat would probably be a lot like Shane.
Well, we'll play around and we'll see if we can give away some gift cards. I tell people this every time we play this game. Unless we get a call, we can't give away gift cards. But we'll still play the game.
So have you asked, because I think I want to know, can we, like if it's me and I win, because I think I spend the most time here.
Can you get the gift card?
Can they give it to an employee?
So when I came here for trivia one night, my table got second place, and I did not get a gift card because I worked here.
So, okay. It's kind of a bummer.
But we make our own rules on this show. Hey, you and Shane, let's kick this off with
Me
you
and Shane? Okay.
Shane, are you ready?
No.
Play some music for me, buddy.
Oh, boy. Here we go. You know what we need? We need Trent to call us back.
Trent? Well, we forgot to call him for insight into Creighton.
Yeah, Trent was nuts.
I love Trent. Trent's a good guy. Hey, okay, a brand of yogurt.
Okay.
A baseball team in the NL West. DB, that is professional baseball you're going for here.
What a jerk. Okay.
A generic ice cream flavor.
Okay.
And a fast food restaurant.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Was I supposed to be writing something down?
There he is.
Oh, now we have
He'll never change. He'll never change. Okay.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Yeah, let me answer. Let me get this caller online here quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Do you think? How confident are you in these choices?
I'm extremely confident.
How confident are you Shane matched your answer?
Well,
choices?
it depends. Like, hopefully, like our caller, we'll let him play. Or
oh,
her play.
Look who it is.
It's Trent.
It's Trent.
So Trent may have to be our Trent must be a total P1.
Yeah.
Right? Is he just a P1?
But we'll play this one for fun, and then we'll let Trent choose.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's roll through it quick.
All right, brand of yogurt. 3, 2, 1.
Yo, play.
Dannon.
You got to say it at the same time, though,
I know.
DB, even if it's wrong.
I'm just like
0 for 1. 0 for 1. A baseball team in the NL West. 3, 2, 1.
Dodgers.
Ding. I'll do it. Don't worry. A generic.
Shane, get your Darcy game right, man. Ring the bell.
A generic ice cream flavor. 3, 2, 1.
Vanilla.
Ding.
You can't multitask.
I'll take the right there. And a fast food restaurant. 3, 2, 1.
McDonald's.
Hey, good warm up, guys. Good warm
Wow,
up. 3 out of 4.
Okay, Liquid.
All right, let's bring Trent on. Trent, back with us, not just for 2 for you purposes, or
not to be
basketball.
Matt DeMarinis.
Matt DeMarinis.
Hey, this is Trent with White and Blue Review.
Right. Hey, Trent, what's up, buddy?
What's going on?
Hey, DB called you P1. Is that true?
Oh, how, like
hey, it is.
We didn't put out the bat signal. Like, how'd you bam?
He's listening.
And there he is.
I'm all for it. Let's go.
Hey, Trent, who do you like? Who do you want to play?
I want Andrew and DB. And
All right, let's go.
Yeah, Andrew and DB sounds like a good choice.
I like that.
Trent just wants to be able to hear the bell, and he knows that you can't ring the bell and give a right answer.
Are you ready, DB?
I'm ready.
A basketball team in the Big East not named Creighton.
Ooh, okay. Tough one.
Yeah, that is kind of tough.
It's fine. Let's go with it. I'm thinking popular brands. Let's go, whether they're good or not. Let's go.
An appliance in your kitchen.
An appliance?
An appliance.
Okay, this is hard.
Something you'd find in the Garden of Eden.
Okay. Ooh, tough one. God, that's great. All right.
And a brand of toilet paper.
Oh, you must not want Trent to win.
I thought these were good.
They're fantastic.
All right. Let's win some money for Trent. You ready?
I'm worried about this with you.
A basketball team in the Big East not named Creighton. 3, 2, 1.
Georgetown.
Butler.
I would have said Georgetown.
He's not like that's the easiest. I know they just played Creighton, but that's not a good.
What did we talk about at the top of the show? Creighton and who?
That one's broad.
Who?
Right? That's a tough one, Trent.
Creighton and Butler.
Trust me, you're not going to win.
And then
you're not going to win the majority.
We talked with Andy Kendeigh, and we mentioned Butler.
You're not going to win that.
Butler's on the mind. I'm not looking to win in the Big East.
No, trying to sway folks that they should have said Butler.
That's the relevant answer.
Yeah, okay.
It's the relevant answer. I don't know what you're trying to back up here. Hey, an appliance in your kitchen. 3, 2, 1.
Dishwasher. So we got to go 2 for 2.
Got to go 2 for 2 here. Hey, something you'd find in the Garden of Eden. 3, 2, 1. Apple. Boy.
Wow.
Boy.
Wow.
Boy.
Wow.
Let's call the butler in to get you an apple. And
I almost said
serpent.
Yes. Wow. Okay.
A brand of toilet paper. 3, 2, 1.
Charmin.
Bang! Let's go. Hey,
we only got him $20
down the stretch. That was only 10 because we couldn't even double down because we missed the first.
I'm still
2.
mad you said Butler.
Butler was the right answer.
I feel some type of way about that.
Hey, Trent, you won $10. Come down to Hale Varsity Club at the hostess stand. They'll have a $10 gift card for you anytime.
Hey, that is awesome. That's how you finish, though.
Yes, it is. We finished.
Thanks, Trent.
We finishing games. Trent, good work there. Good work.
I'm Team Trent.
We are Team Trent for sure.
We
should bring Trent in studio for a breakfast with Benning.
But listen,
I guess with the breakfast.
So you know what we should do, Shane? You should have cut that up and save it. Lay his voice over Matt DeMarinis. They almost even sound the same. Trent just has better phone quality.
I'm trying.
And that's what you notice.
I'm telling you, they sound a lot alike. And they're both they're funny. He had me. And I talked to Matty. I should know.
Well, it's tough because when you don't physically see the person, it's almost like the game we played yesterday prior to Morning Dump. You were playing song voices, like vocals.
Oh, yeah, from let's get the song title right before Jay.
We Are the World.
Yes.
By USA for Africa, right?
We were playing We Are the World, and you couldn't look at the computer screen.
We're all about being educated.
And we were like, who is singing this? Shane was Nails, although you both thought Michael Jackson was a woman.
Mm-hmm. I think
he's the most recognizable.
No, you know why I thought it?
No, Bruce Springsteen was. Even though you said, who'd you say for Bruce Springsteen?
The best.
I don't remember.
The best person in there, you didn't even sing, but it was Quincy Jones.
He doesn't sing long enough.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a quickie.
Is that it?
You know about those?
We're already done. What happened?
And guess what? It's not snowing yet.
The show is over? What the heck? Well, I guess we're going to Morning Dump next.
Hey, how many coaches do you think are practicing right now? Wait. Hey, no snow. Get on my group text. Hey, kids, let's get in the gym.
You feel some sort of way about that, DB.
Oh, man.
We'll see you tomorrow on Coffee and Cream.